Hello everyone, it's Joe here from Draft FPL, and we are back with a weekly series looking at the best free agents and waiver pickups in Draft FPL. Game week 36, it's another double game week. It's the final week before playoffs if you have those enabled. It's a massive week at the top and the bottom of most people's leagues. We've got a couple of interesting double game weeks and we've got some really juicy fixtures to look at. Before we look at the picks, I just want to shout out something I'm doing on the Patreon at the moment for the subscribers. Every week I'm doing a game week cheat sheet. So this is just a little look at last week's cheat sheet for game week 35. It includes the fixtures, player data, a little bit of insight into some of the team data, attacking, defending. We've got clean sheet odds, fixture ticker, everything like that. It's everything you could need to make your waiver and lineup decisions for that game week. Game week 36's cheat sheet is out now, available for all Patreons, so if you check the link down below, have a look at that. It's definitely well worth the money in my opinion. On to the picks then, and first up we've got Chalobah of Chelsea, available in 74% of draft leagues. It's Forest at home this week for Chelsea. The defence has not been that bad. The attack has been pretty terrible. But the defence hasn't been too bad. And it is Forest this week. They do have a really tricky double next week in 37, which is City away, United away, which is not ideal. But it's not horrendous. I mean, it's still a double game week, but it's obviously not one you'd really look at. And then Newcastle at home in game week 38. But I do think if they've got any chance of a clean sheet in the remaining games, it's definitely this week in game week 36. And I've actually got two players I'm looking at. It's Chalobah and Azpilicueta, who are going to be the two stand-in fullbacks. Chelsea have got an absolute nightmare injury crisis with fullbacks at the moment. Reece James, Chilwell and Cucurella are all out injured, so I don't really see any choice other than playing Azpilicueta and Chalobah. You could even go for both of them if they're both free, which I suspect they are in a decent amount of leagues, which could be a very effective tactic. Next up, I picked him like 3 weeks in a row now, but he's still available in 63% of leagues. It's Lindelof. Wolves at home, then it's a double, Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home, then Fulham at home. These are the best 3 game weeks for any team. United have the best 3 final game weeks, and he's a nailed on centre back. He's good on bonus. It's just an absolute no-brainer pick. I would highly doubt that anyone has 5 defenders better than this at the moment. So if he's free, then it's just the easiest pickup ever. Finally then, we have got Anderson, available in 67% of leagues. I've gone for Anderson just because I think he is the most available of the nailed-on players. Roy, since he's been in, hasn't really changed the defence at all, especially over the last sort of 4 or 5 game weeks. It's been Mitchell, Gahey, Anderson and Joel Ward. I think any of those 4 are pretty safe. Joel Ward is the most widely available, but I think he's probably the only one that is susceptible to rotation because Nathaniel Klein looks like he is back fit. But I don't think Roy's going to change it. It's not really how he normally plays things. I think it will be those 4. I personally have picked up Joel Ward and I'm just running with it because I'm pretty happy to take the risk there. The final 3 fixtures are really good. I mean, they've not got a double, but Bournemouth at home, Fulham away, Forest at home in the last 3. You wouldn't be surprised to see 2 clean sheets there from a Roy Hodgson side. I would be surprised if they keep 0 clean sheets. I think all the defenders are a good pick. I've gone for Anderson. I don't think any of them are particularly better than the rest. The centre-backs are probably a little bit more nailed, but it doesn't make too much difference. On to midfielders, we have got Murphy once again. I know I talked about him, I think, last week, but still available in 76% of leagues. He did start against Arsenal. Started on the right, and it's a double game week this week. Leeds away, Brighton at home, then Leicester at home next week, and then Chelsea away on the final day. So 3 decent game weeks coming up for Newcastle. It's basically Murphy versus Almiron. It looks like Longstaff is out for the foreseeable future, which generally means that Joel Linton will move into central midfield, Isaac will play wide, and then one of Murphy or Almiron will play on the other side. I'm leaning towards Murphy. I think he's in better form. I think he's more likely to start. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts one and comes off the bench in the other in the double game week, but that is definitely more than enough minutes to do some damage, so I think he is a very sensible pick. The other Newcastle mid I've gone for is Willock, available in 32% of leagues. Same story with Murphy, really. I expect him to start both, to be honest, but he may, start one, come off the bench in one. But I think either way, he's still a very good pick in this strong Newcastle side. I was going to go for Joe Linton as well, but he is only available in about 10% of leagues, which quite surprised me because he's not exactly prolific, although he does have a decent record since he's moved back into midfield. The next midfielder I'm looking at is Curtis Jones. I spoke about him a couple of weeks ago and he rewarded me with a goal after I picked him up in about 5 different leagues. Available in 94% of leagues, and Liverpool's fixtures are really nice, especially I think from an attacking point of view. Leicester away this week is a really, really good attacking fixture. Villa at home in 37 is good as well, and then Saints away on the final day, who will almost certainly be relegated, will be a nice fixture to finish on. So I think Jones is going to start all 3 games. I think he's probably their most informed midfielder at the moment. I don't think there's too much danger of him missing out, although you never really know with Liverpool's midfield, but I'm more than happy to keep him until the end of the season. Next up, I haven't spoken about any Brighton players yet. This double game week, Arsenal away, Newcastle away, doesn't scream clean sheets to me. I've got Steele and I'm going to play him because you never really know with a goalkeeper, but I'm not too interested in the defence. There are players you could look at, something like Colwill, but yeah, I'm not that interested for game week 36. One man I am kind of interested in is Buonanotte. Solly March looks like he's pulled his hamstring, so he's probably going to be out for the rest of the season, to be honest. He may be back for 38, but I doubt it. And Buonanotte has been the one to deputise for Solly March on the right-hand side. When March has come off, it's normally been for this man, and when he didn't start against Everton, it was Buonanotte. Although I will say he didn't have the best game against Everton, so De Zerbi might look to reshuffle things and move some people around, potentially play someone like Enciso wide, not sure. But I do think he's definitely worth a shout. Worst case scenario, he plays 30 minutes in both games probably, and that's 60 minutes of football. So it's not the end of the world either way. They do also then have the double in 37 as well. So from these 4 fixtures over 2 games, I'm probably expecting 2 starts and 2 sub appearances, but he could quite easily start 3 or even 4 games over these 2 game weeks. So probably worth a punt in my opinion. Final midfielder, Conor Gallagher, available in 82% of leagues. Forest at home this week is the standout fixture. Forest defence is absolutely awful, although Chelsea's attack has also been terrible, as highlighted in the cheat sheet. I think they were like 17th in the attacking data, maybe 16th, which is not ideal over the last 6 game weeks. But Conor Gallagher has got a decent pedigree in front of goal. He's probably Chelsea's most informed player at the moment. I thought he had a really good game against Brentford. I don't see him not starting this game. I think he's for sure going to start. And, I think any attacking midfielder with goal threat playing against Forest at home, it's kind of a recipe for success. So I don't think he's a bad shout at all. That is also followed up by a double game week next week, although as I said earlier, it's a really hard double game week, City away, United away, but you would expect Chelsea to at least score 1 or 2 goals in that double. So if Gallagher can keep up his form, then he could be a good pick for that game week as well. On to forwards then, and back, if you followed the waiver picks over the last month, most of you probably already have Evan Ferguson, and most of you are probably asking me if you should drop him. Well, I'm going to say absolutely not. Do not drop Evan Ferguson this week. Available in 53% of leagues. He's been very frustrating. He's been he's been on the fringe of coming back from injury for a while. He played only 45 minutes against Everton. So if you didn't watch the game or haven't seen the highlights, you might think, damn, 1 pointer, he's got to go. But I will say Brighton were miles better in the second half after Ferguson came on. I think Ferguson was probably the best player for Brighton in that second half as well. He had a really good chance that came off the crossbar that he could have scored, and it was all created by himself. I think he's a really talented player, and I'm certain he's going to start. I'm going to say, and I should never say this, but I'm certain he's going to start against Arsenal, unless there's a surprise injury we don't know about. He may not. I may be hung out to dry here, but I'm expecting 3 starts out of the next 4 games. He looked fit, he looked fresh. I don't think there's any problem with that lingering injury he had. So I'm going to put my neck on the line and say he is definitely going to start at least one of the 2 games in game week 36. The other man on the other side of that is Enciso, available in 45% of leagues. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start out wide instead of Buonanotte, who I mentioned earlier. But he could also start number 10. He could do a great number of things. He came on as well with Ferguson and played pretty well when he came on as well. So I think there's a decent chance he starts a fair few games in this double game week as well. If I had the choice between the 2, I would go for Ferguson. But if I didn't have the choice, I don't think Enciso is a bad pick at all. Again, with this many games in this short space of time, even if they don't start, even if they come off the bench in the next 4 games, you're probably looking at 120 minutes over 2 game weeks, which is by no means bad at all, especially as there's a decent amount of goals that are scored in the final minutes of games anyway. So I'm not too worried. I think either of them are good picks. As I said earlier, Ferguson would be my priority, but I think both are good. Okay, that wraps up my picks for game week 36. As I said earlier, if you are interested in the Patreon, please do check it out. I honestly think it's really good value for money. So I would say that, but whatever. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you next time.